So I have a desk behind me, and I've gotten a lot of questions about that desk. So I'm going to go over why and how we built it. And one of the things that I did want to address before we got into that is that it's tall, but it's not crazy tall. So everybody goes on about how it's like super tall and it's not even possible to be used as a desk. But it was actually meant as a standing desk. So if you look, it's perfect standing desk height for me. So yeah, let's get to it. So initially we did actually record all of the footage of us actually building the desk. However, it was one of those situations where the footage didn't come out usable and we decided just to scrap it. So instead, I'm going to be showing you how I did everything via these diagrams that I made in Tinkercad because I'm an absolute noob at CAD. So to get started, we wanted to maximize the space of the room. So we figured the best way to do that would be to build in a desk, and that's how we came up with our design. From there, while we were at the hardware store, we actually were able to get a contractor bundle of, I think it was 10 2x4s of various lengths for like $20. A lot of them were really beat up. I mean, there was definitely a reason that they were in the reject pile, but it still fit the bill because this is all going to be underneath a desk. Obviously, the first step was to take measurements and cut the lumber. So once we had everything cut, we brought everything inside and we assembled the frame as you see it in red. Once the frame was completely put together, I did something that is really strange for me, and I actually used a stud finder and I found every single stud in the wall. Normally I'm pretty good about catching studs, like, either feeling the wall or that kind of a thing, but in this case I wanted to be 100% sure that we were hitting every single stud along the frame. To actually mount the frame, we used, I think it was 4-inch drywall screws because I wanted to make sure that it was going to go through the 2x4 and definitely make its way into the stud for a really, really secure fit. After it was fully mounted, we went around the entire frame and tried putting weight on all these various sections to make sure that it was really self-supporting and could hold a decent amount of weight. And it did pretty good at that, so we went ahead and proceeded. For the desktop itself, we actually went all out and got this really fancy butcher block that was available at Lowe's. I mean, it's not that fancy, but it was fancy to us. It was definitely pricier than the $20 construction bundle. So after measuring and cutting the butcher block, we mounted it directly to the frame, just with some screws going right up into it, nothing fancy. And then from there, I hit it up with a hand sander and basically sanded down the surface, sanded down all of the edges, made sure everything was really smooth, tried to get it really flush and level. And then I hit it up with, it was 2 coats of Minwax. I just wanted to put a little stain on it to give it a little color. And I believe the color was Jacobine. And then to finish off the top, we used Minwax's, it's a bar top polyurethane. So it's supposed to be, really good for high traffic, really good for, being dinged and taking a lot of abuse. And I did 3 coats of that. Once the desktop was good and dry, I wanted to add some additional supports just for some more stability, just because I knew that I was going to be putting a lot of 3D printers and a lot of potential other equipment. And also I tend to lean on surfaces. So I wanted to make sure that everything was reinforced and really as stable as I could possibly get it. And I decided to go with galvanized steel pipe that I spray painted black, just honestly for the pure aesthetic of it. If you're doing this type of thing, you could use really anything. We could have used spare wood that we had left over, but again, I just like the aesthetic of galvanized steel pipes. So that basically wraps up the build process. I know it's a really short video, but I still wanted to put it out. I've gotten a lot of questions about the desk and why it's so tall and why it was built the way that it was and how it was built and how we did it. And I wanted to get this out there. The design was really with the thinking that I need to be able to use a standing desk, and it's a lot easier to have a high desk and a high chair than it is to build some sort of a desk that will raise and lower itself, especially in an L shape built into a wall. The room itself is really small, so our options were really limited, and we also wanted to make sure that we could maximize the amount of storage space within the room, and the high desk also helps with that because I have shelving going all the way around underneath the desk. So that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.